And just like that, it's time for the last Frontrunner Sports podcast of the decade. As we end off 2019 by recapping on what is essentially the first half for most of the teams of the season. Obviously, the likes of Bidvest Vits have a couple of games in hand due to their other commitments on the rest of the continent. But as it stands at the halfway mark, it is Kaizer Chiefs who've found a resurgence this season under Ernst Middendorp, a coach that many thought that at the end of last season might be let go of, considering the fact that they lost in that Nedbank Cup final, rather, and didn't make the top 8. But if you can see the power of regeneration and fixing themselves, they've done that. Whilst on the opposite end, you have the likes of Orlando Pirates, who had a promising look into the season, considering how they finished the last campaign. But this one has been seen as a campaign to almost write off, while Sundowns are trying to be consistent and, of course, keep the pressure on Kaizer Chiefs at the top of the table, with Highlands Park sneaking into 6th place at the weekend. Are they the surprise package of the season so far? Helping me look into this, I have two gentlemen joining me in studio. John T. Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mr. Christopher Bongo.
Bonsoir.
Now, are you guys okay? Because Chris wasn't happy that he didn't get invited to your wedding.
I think we've made up. Yeah, this was 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But,
And what is good as well, I'm an Arsenal supporter and he's still a Chelsea. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So we both hate
I'm happy. I'm a happy Chelsea supporter today. So
Of course, yes,
anything
the team doing the business against your old coach. Okay, gentlemen, well, you heard my preamble. I mean, we've got some touch points that we'll touch on, but let's start with Kaizer Chiefs maybe, and recap on the first 15 games of the season for them, John T. How do you think they're looking?
It's 14, isn't it?
14, sorry, yes, 14. How do you think they're looking? And are you eating your own words as to perhaps what you might have said at the beginning of the season?
Definitely eating my words. I mean, 14 games, top of the table, 7 points clear. All credit to Ernst Middendorp. He's done a remarkable job turning things around there from 9th place last season. Signings have been good. Manyama coming back has helped them. Obviously, he was like a new player almost because he returned to full fitness. Karma Biliat has been a bit up and down. But generally it's good. 7 points is by no means, there's still, 48 points to play for. So it's by no means a done deal. And they weren't great on Sunday. We can talk a bit more about that, but they Maritzburg really should have won that game. So that was maybe a warning sign for them that there's still plenty of work to do. And I think Chiefs maybe need to reinforce in some certain areas in January, although the talk is that they're not going to. But I think they maybe need just a bit more depth, because if you think about Sundowns, they can only really get better, I think.
Yeah.
And can Chiefs match the points haul that they've got in this first part of the season in 2020? Will Samir Nurkovic keep up the amazing form he's been in? There was some slightly worrying signs on Sunday. I don't think it's necessarily going to repeat itself into 2020. But without Katsande, I don't know what was going on there.
He had a very strange game.
He
had a very strange game.
But yeah, I think they'll recoup, and it all depends on also that. In theory, they've got a better schedule because they're not playing in CAF, but also. Sometimes, like Gavin Hunt always says, he'd rather play. So, if Chiefs have these long gaps in between games, especially if they get knocked out of the Nedbank Cup early, not saying they will, but if they do, if they have these long gaps between games, is it going to help them or not? Because they had 2 weeks off now, or a week, or quite a while off now, to prepare for this Maritzburg game, and then it didn't really go so well. So it depends on how it works out for them. Because in theory, they've got a great chance, because Wits and Sundowns will be incredibly busy with all the CAF fixtures.
He makes a good point about the regularity of the football for Sundowns and Wits. That kind of keeps the momentum going. We always say about like these international breaks where a team is doing so well and you feel like the break has come at the wrong time. Are Chiefs going to welcome this break, or do you think they're keen to carry on playing considering this result?
Well, let's just go in the beginning. I'm glad that John T ate his own word. The 7th of June this year, a day after my birthday, I wrote a very long article that I got attacked. I gave 7 reasons why Kaizer Chiefs, they will do much better than Orlando Pirates and Cape Town City. And I'll just give the 3 reasons that I believed they will be where they are. Number 1, you'll know it, Jonty, because you write a lot about football. It is the first season where Kaizer Chiefs striking force, they can actually fight for positions. They never had a striking force fighting for position. The last player to score 10 goals for Kaizer Chiefs, it was the left-footed Bernard Parker. And that was, 4 or 5 seasons ago. So they never really have somebody to get those goals for them.
Right.
And so when they just bought Kambule, when I wrote that article, they had Kambule, they've got Nukovic being there, and then they had Kamabiliad. So you realize, and they did not sell the previous striker, the name just... Castro, they did not sell. So they had 4 strikers that they can use. So for me, that was the number 1 sign. Number 2, it was after the beer game, which is the Castle game, Black Label game. People are talking about him being fired. The fact that they kept the coach who was with them in the preseason and they saw what's happening, that was the second reason for them to go. Last season, if you remember, Katsande did not finish games. He was not even starting some games. The worry was Katsande would not be in the team and Maluleke will come and play in that position. But the fact that those 2 players, they kept them in the team. And Middendorp brought something like 7 new players that people never knew about. Young players, he kept on bringing them. Suddenly, Kaizer Chiefs looked like they had a pool of new players. And Manyama got in form. So they had all good reasons than the other team, which means Orlando Pirates. They had 16 players bought after finishing second 2 seasons in a row. You can see that they were not looking very good. So Kaizer Chiefs, they're not surprising me. And the last but not least, one thing that Kaizer Chiefs has this season that they did not have before, is the attitude of their players when they are a goal down. The attitude is they don't want to lose. We'll talk about Mamelodi Sundowns, but for Kaizer Chiefs, it is, you see their attitude, they fight not to lose. And that is something good to see. So, and the continuity of playing football, when we used to play football, it is better to play every single week than sitting and waiting and not playing, because your body's memory starts going away and you start becoming a bit lethargic about your game. Playing competitions keeps you up. And if you're playing competition, you're playing well, your morale is staying up and you're looking good. Like Bitverse are looking good because they keep on traveling and coming and playing. So waiting for games is not good. So this break, my experience in South African football, as a player and as watching football, after Christmas, it is a totally new football league. The things that just go totally different ways if you don't keep it together. One coach managed to do it for a long time as possible. It is Gavin Hunt. Other coaches to keep the team as they were before, it's been very difficult.
Okay, well, let's see. I mean, like we say, this Maritzburg 1-1 is not the ideal way to end the year, but they will be happy with ending the year at the top of the table. And I mean, if we're looking at that game, I mean, we speak about Lebo Manyama coming in. I'm sure, based on the kind of performances, if he puts in like the ones on Saturday, I mean, he's in line to be a Chiefs player of the season if he carries on in that form. But there are some contenders in that squad.
Yeah, I mean, definitely between him and obviously Nurkovic, who got an assist on Sunday and he was scored 8 goals in the league already. Yeah. He's really been terrific for Chiefs as a in the way Middendorp likes to play and with and serving as a target man. He pulls defenders out wide when he goes out wide, and you know, and they link really well. The front players for Chiefs, Castro, Billiat when he plays, Magnon.
I like it when he plays.
Well, he doesn't know. He's obviously had this running thing with international
walking
duty
around the pitch
and playing and getting injured, and Middendorp saying he doesn't like it when Billiat goes and plays for Zimbabwe because he plays when he's injured and then comes back and then So, but I think that they were in the end, it's a good point for them because they were really under the cosh second half against Maritzburg, and obviously they conceded that penalty and that pay again, showing that Kune's not been so missed this season because that pay's really found some form. And, a terrific save at a key moment. I think Chris was saying, they've found a way to, they don't, when they go behind, they don't panic anymore. That was almost like not going behind, but like, okay, here's a penalty that could see us lose this game, lose only our second game of the season. He makes the key save in that moment. I didn't think it wasn't a terrible penalty from Klaassen. He just managed to push it onto the post.
It did quite well. And just to continue to what Jones is saying there, when your striker plays wide, that's the reason you're talking about Manyama. He will come very deep where Maluleke is, he will come very deep where Kasande is. He will collect the ball. I have not seen this in South Africa many times, where a midfielder passes the ball without controlling. The ball comes and he whip it. You don't see it much. People don't see that those small things. He did it when he was in Cape Town. Yesterday I saw he did it twice. As the ball came, he whip it immediately, and the Billiard miscontrolled the ball. And the goal that he came in, it was an own goal, but yes, how the goal came about, as soon as he realized that Nukovic is making a run the right-hand side, he made a run directly inside the box. He did not wait for the ball to come. He made a run first. So it seems like he started understanding football. And in South Africa, if you just have that little thinking, you'll be better than many players in the team, and especially the opposition.
And Nukovic also has that little bit of pace. He just over a short distance, he can really beat his man, and that surprised me about him a bit. Just he flew past.
And when you get they pass the ball immediately, there's not wait like many players they do.
Right. No, going into becoming a provider on that instance, but then Willard Katsande, I mean, he had a horror of a game. First, to allow Ofori to get himself an assist in that fashion. The keeper plays a long ball. He gets off his feet to try and be acrobatic about the clearance, and then he misses and makes a hash of it. And then it's that man, Judas Musamedi, who...
When I was playing football, Judas is almost 55 times better than me by far. I don't have the slightest talent that he had, but there are so many things that I recognize with him. Everybody's talking about Kasande missing that ball, making a mistake. No, he put Kasande in that position. As soon as that ball was played, Chiefs were playing 3 at the back. So as the ball played long, immediately Kasande drops. He knew Kasande was the last man. Remember the late Eddie Lewis, when he was coaching me, he used to say, stay with the last man, stay with the last man. Because when you stay with the last man, you are here. Kasande is watching the ball coming and he's looking at this man. And because he is there strong, your mind starts working. So it was not unforced error like in tennis that Kassan just made an error. No, it was a forced error. So for me, that goal, it is all about Judas' attitude of not letting Kassan to have the mind of... It could have been an easy ball, controlled past the ball.
Yes.
But
well, that's what my thing. Are you saying that the pressure from Judas led
this
to
guy
him
scored
trying
against
to...
us. He scored against us in previous game, in the cup game. Now he is here.
Yeah, but I mean,
you're being very generous to Katsande there, Chris. The guy,
I am generous.
The problem is that if you're going to attack the ball like he did, you have to get something. It doesn't matter if you hit it out for a throw.
Whatever,
just get something.
He just look here, just that second.
And obviously,
why not stay on your feet then?
And also, but he was the last man because Chiefs had been attacking, and in Ngazana, people were up the pitch.
Right.
So it's even more his responsibility to. Obviously, he's been entrusted with that role.
Yeah.
If there's a quick counter, you must then cover.
Stay on your feet.
And then obviously he compounded that error by
kicking.
What I will give you is that the second one was worse.
The penalty was worse.
Attempting to chest control the ball, then missing an overhead kick, then making that worse by then kicking the guy in the penalty area to give away the spot kick.
He missed the first one.
He would have hoped that the first one would have caught him, because that would have been outside the box. It was the second kick when he was like, I didn't get you.
But Jonty, you'll agree with me. I wrote, I said, that's what I say.
Yeah.
I say for the first time this season, you can feel that Kaizer Chiefs are panicking. Because when you look at the statistic of the game, at no point Kaizer Chiefs got to 50%. The majority of the time that they got to 46% of the ball possession. So it was the first game you see them panicking, yet they did not lose the game.
They didn't. I mean, Mose Amadi is terrific as a centre forward for me and should probably be in the next Bafana squad. He gives defenders all sorts of problems. He pulls them all over the pitch. And I think Maritzburg are a good team that needs to be noted, and they're in form. I think they have lost one match in quite a lot of games. They lost the Telkom final, obviously, to Sundowns, but otherwise they haven't really lost very much at all in the last few games since the start of the season when they had a really bad start. And you know, Dalen Klaassen is a top-class midfielder.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
he
Miguel
is.
Tin is a
Very
top-class
good.
midfielder.
Yeah.
They've got some good players in there.
Kunene
that
very
really
good.
gave
But why is he not playing three?
Kunene on the left is
But why is he not
fantastic
playing three
skills.
of them at the same time? Musamedi, Judas, and they're playing with Brookie. I don't understand.
Well, Brocky is
Even
not
if I'm,
in
even
any
if
sort
him-
of form.
even if he's not in form, but if you are, I'm in opposition.
Yes.
And I know he is on the field. I know I am in trouble.
I
So
don't know, I think maybe
play
it's not that fear factor.
if you
Chris.
play three of them at the same time,
Yeah.
and I am a team that I was fighting relegation, I want to go up, and I'll go with all my best, all of them at the same time. He keep him on the bench and keep Musamedi in the bench. Judas is good, very, very limited player. I don't think he's as intelligent as I would like him to be. His head is off and down. His head is off and down. He's strong in the ball, but in the two occasions, he behave as what you can call messiah feeling that I'm the one who's going to save the team. Instead of passing the ball to the guy who have a 60% chance scoring, I've got 40, he will try to be that player to score the goal.
Right.
He have to pass that. That is decision making. That is
Yes.
maturity. So for me, if he doesn't reach that level, his strength, his power, he will just be as useless as ours.
That's what I was going to say that to John T in terms of him being called up for the squad is that you wonder if he was more clinical in a game like this one. I mean, there were times when he could have passed the ball to Mika Lialafa. He doesn't. There's too many times keeping the ball at his
Yes.
feet. There's two opportunities like that.
Well, in
that
the
means
last
that
few minutes, yeah, sure. In
Yeah.
the last few minutes, obviously, he got that chance on his right foot, and he decides to cut onto his left foot, which isn't even his stronger foot.
yes, he went onto
And
his
he-
weaker foot. Yeah.
And Tinkler looked absolutely furious on the touchline. But yeah, he could, and there was twice.
But that's
and
a difference
then he
between
did
2 points
release
and
the
1
ball
point.
to Lealafa
Yeah.
at the end, and Lealafa did the same thing. It was very strange. It's like Tinkler was also saying it, I think, after the game. I mean, just have a go with
Yeah.
your right foot.
Yeah.
That's where you've got the space to shoot.
He at least forced
It's in that
to
moment.
Lialafa, he forced a save. At least.
John T just made
Save
it.
that-
Musamedi
yeah.
didn't.
Save that.
John T
Oh,
made-
it's the easiest save you can make, but at least he still activated
yeah.
Akpe.
We'll talk about maybe another time, but John T made just a big point that Judas to be a national team. That tells you how bad our national team
Yeah,
is.
we have striking problems, but
No, we do. It is bad, guys. We have to accept it. He score goals. He's finishing here, but he is not a top striker.
Yeah, I don't know if he's national team quality. I don't know. I mean, if he does get better in the second half of the season and is more clinical, then he does have a case. But
He
right
is
now,
clinical,
he's
though.
very-
I will not be. He is clinical. 1-1 with the goalkeeper, he finishes it.
Yeah, 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper, but that's not always going to be the situation where you score
Exactly.
goals.
But
he did well to go through Akpe's legs. That was composed. But the second one, he should have had a shot. But for Maritzburg, I
against Sundown, the same thing. He had opportunities to finish off Sundown.
And he didn't take them. So there we go. But anyway, congratulations to Kaizer Chiefs. As far as we're concerned, I mean they were on top with 35. Last season they finished with 39 points.
I am scared.
So already that just goes to
From
show
a double
you.
digit lead for a very long
I
time.
don't think there's much doubt that if they do that again, they'll win the league. In the
Yeah,
second
of course.
part
Oh,
of
by
They
the
are.
way, the average in the past 4 seasons, average for you to win the league, it is 59, 60 points. And it was 16 game win. You win the league. They already won 11. So they start feeling a little bit that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean 8 more wins and roughly 8 more wins. Let's say 9 to be
Yeah,
safe.
yeah.
Then they pretty much have it in the bag.
Yeah.
They have it in the bag. Well,
What is
there
it
we
if
go.
it's can get closer than Sundowns are to them if it's win all their
Yeah.
games in hand?
Yeah.
Well,
39.
exactly. But
Yeah.
there is the weight of
winning.
having games in hand. It weighs heavy sometimes. Okay. Well done to Eric Tinkler as well. We must give credit where it's due. I mean, from a Maritzburg team that was fighting relegation to a cup final this year and giving the likes of Chiefs trouble. I mean, that is a well worth transformation. And kudos to also the management at Maritzburg for
Listen,
the vision.
Marisbeck, the first time they fight relegation, they came in, they finished in top 3 or top 4. And then the following year, they were back in the relegation. And Marisbeck won every single game in the playoffs. They start the season, it seemed like a team, they didn't know what they were doing. Now they got themselves in a very good position. I don't know what it goes in Marisbeck. They have to find some kind of consistency going on. Being mid-table team is not wrong, but being fighting others from the bottom, it's
Well, I don't know.
difficult.
I don't think it'll be the case this season. It's not looking like it.
No, I don't think so. They've got. I think also that you have to give Tinkler the credit because he's had the time to build the squad now, and they did lose key players last season, and then they lost Makaringe now as well.
Yeah.
They lost Sipasikle and over the previous
Lovo,
season, I
yeah.
think, and Mabue to Sundowns
Yeah.
as well. So they've lost players, and they've still been able to sort of come up with the goods. And they've got. I think they've got a strong squad. I mean, Deroik's been a revelation in defence. Gonyama is a strong centre back by PSL.
So they are
standards.
contender team of this season so far.
I was very impressed on Sunday by that New Zealand fullback Dan Morgan. I think
Right.
Yeah, very, very
he
good.
offers them something going forward and at the back. So I think they've got the squad that can finish top 8 easily. I don't see them struggling. Not
Yeah.
with some of the teams down the bottom at the moment.
That
what
is
they're
where
producing,
when
so.
we'll talk about, but what for me that Cape Town City and the Polokwane City, they will get out of that position. So which means a lot of teams are gonna drop at the bottom there.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next one. Let's see Orlando Pirates making, a very, very good start under their new coach, Zimbabwe. 3-1 against Leopards. I mean, how do you see this one? I don't think he would have had much time to do all he wanted to do. He even said after the game that this is not my football, what he saw, even though he won.
The question is, if Orlando was on the bench, could have the score be the same? We don't know because it did not happen. Orlando Pirates, they still one of the exciting teams to watch going forward because they will get you those goals, they're going to get you those passes. But once again, the immaturity of those players, that when you lose the ball, that's when you become very vulnerable. I still remember the time where I was still working with the young man, Jonty. Orlando Pirates have 7 players. 7. In the middle of the park.
You're saying I'm not young anymore.
Not anymore. In the middle of the park, they had Jali, they had Tumaelo, and they had Manisa. 3 in the middle of the park. And then at the back, they had Matlaba, they had Mahamuta, they had Benson Mutlongo, and they had Jali. I mean, Jele.
Yeah.
Those 7 players, including their goalkeeper, Meiwa. I don't even remember who plays the striker in that team. But they won triple-double. I don't remember the striker. Who was the striker?
It was Benny McCarthy was there for one season.
No.
Oh, Benny was in the last season. Yeah, Benny won when they won the season. Yeah. The point here is they knew what to do in the middle of the park. They lost Munetti in the first season when they finished second. And it looks like everybody in Orlando Pirates want to go and score goals, be in the Instagram, be talked about, and be sung. It's so to celebrate them. And Lodge realized that you have to score a pretty goal. It's good. But why are you not defending? Orlando Pirates, I went back, before coming here today, I went back and look at, from the 70th minute, they're the most vulnerable team in PSL. They concede goals from the 70th minute.
Right.
Why? Because their mind is already, my girlfriend has seen me score a goal. So we'll talk about it in the club. But those are the reality of our footballs.
Yeah.
Our players are not yet fully professional until the referee blow off the whistle. So that is Orlando Pirates.
Okay. Well, I mean, what do you say about the Pirates at the weekend then? The one that came out and did the job. What's changed?
Pirates will always score.
Right.
The opposition did not play. That's what I'm saying.
I do think it's hard right now because it wasn't really Zimbabwe's game. You
No.
even said so.
Yeah.
So, maybe it was Fadlu's game. I don't know.
It's more likely to be
Rulani certainly
Fadlu's.
wasn't by all accounts at the training camp in Nelspruit that they had before the.
Wasn't he?
Apparently
No.
not. No. So he came in to be assistant now, but he obviously probably asked for some time off to just go and collect his thoughts after his head coaching position didn't really work out.
He was not a head coach. He was always a caretaker coach.
My problem with Pirates under Rulani was tactical, and Chris sort of touched on it, was they would. I don't think I've seen a team in 20 years covering the PSL so vulnerable on the counter attack.
Thank you.
They would pour forward. And even like when they played Chipper, I think they won that game.
Yeah.
But Chipper had so many chances to break in the first half. And that's, you can't play football like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're Manchester City or Barcelona, you can, but you can't play football like that. I don't think.
But if
in
you
the
play that way,
PSL
you have to score 7 goals in every single
wide
game.
open.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, like literally no one was back defending.
Right.
It was almost like
But they
Happy
always-
Jelly and one other guy.
Yeah.
So I think if you can say that on Saturday when they played Leopards, they at least were a bit more organised.
Right.
And
I saw Dengan in that game. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, well, I think ever since that strange showing he had against Stellenbosch, remember
Yes.
he caused the goal.
Yes.
And I just
I
think
haven't
that's
seen him in a long time.
obviously-
Suddenly I saw him yesterday. I was like saying, okay, Orlando Pirates, now they realize defense is part of the game.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is, but then you can't trust certain individuals like Ndengani, then who do you trust?
No, but a player, okay, Katsanda will play the next game, right? But we're talking about him making a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
But he will play the next game.
Will he?
he might not.
We might not. He might not. Well, you seem very certain. That's why I'm like,
It's a little
I don't
while
know.
to the next game.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And maybe that might benefit him because he could look better in training and seem
There is
near
a-
the coach.
There
Listen,
is a
actually,
time Orlando Pirates had a French goalkeeper. The guy.
he's still
Joris
there.
Dele.
Joris Dele.
He's still there?
He's still there.
What Orlando Pirates was going in their minds? They finished second twice,
And then they go and do
and
a
then they go
overhaul.
and they overall the
They
whole
signed
team.
a host of new players. Yeah.
Well,
That was also
to be
an issue.
fair, sort
I mean,
of,
Gabardino,
they
though, has
did
been
think
fantastic.
that it was because they were going to be playing football on many
In the
fronts.
continent.
Yeah.
On many
in the
fronts.
continent.
Yeah, but then they didn't. So let's see. I think generally it'll be very interesting for Orlando Pirates as to what they do. Luke Amel, he reckons though that maybe in that game, they got a bit unfortunate for him. He seems to do this thing where, and I want to ask you if it's the right approach. When you say eight games, 24 points, as long as I take 10, it's fine. He
Yeah.
seems to play that kind of
Yeah.
football.
Yeah, he does a tactical thing, but also he made the sort of, or his team did, and maybe by default from what he did, because he made the Cardinals sort of celebrating their equalizer like a lunatic, and
Yes,
it
he
took
did.
about 2 minutes for Mango to go up the other end and score, and it seemed like his team almost switched off for that
Yeah.
2 minutes, and
Right.
then Pirates were just able to get the game, and then obviously that was a horrible dive by Gabardino for the third goal, but these things happen, or it's cheating. It's all over the game.
But
It was the lightest of
But there is nothing wrong for teams. There are certain teams in the league to say. Of fact, Gavin told us, probably told you as well, that he goes. He said the first 5 games, regardless of the opponent, the first 5 games out of 15 points, and needs to get 10,
Right.
minimum 10.
Right.
So how that 10 happened? 3 wins, 1 draw.
Yeah.
So
A lot of coaches do that. Gordon Nicholson used to do that. a lot.
Yeah, no,
Lot
for
of
sure.
coaches.
Look, I mean, I just wonder if there ever is that thing that sets in when your players are like, we've reached the target, we can
I don't know
switch
if
off.
I don't know if they do tell players.
I feel like it's it's not a. I think. You don't think so? Because if,
No,
if
they-
the coach shares it with you as the media so
no.
easily, you don't think they tell the players?
I don't know if they. I don't know if they tell the players, but the point is, every single players, unless you get paid to lose a game, every single players go inside the field to win a game.
Right.
When that ball kicks off, you don't care what happened. You want to win the game.
Sure.
And that is the attitude that everything else comes after not winning the game. It is an excuse. That's how we take it. I mean, I play for a team that we're fighting relegation all the time, so we we knew that you go in the game to win it, and
Yeah.
then when you don't win it, you say, okay.
Well, they were a bit unlucky in the sense that they had chances, and then Musonda got them back in the game, but
Right.
pulled his hamstring or something in
Yeah.
the process of scoring.
Yeah,
and then
he did. I mean,
and
he
then
he
had
literally
to go
was
off.
hobbling before he got the ball. He scored, then he was hobbling again.
Yeah.
My
So-
point is, it is a sign that he wants to leave in January.
That is a sign.
Yeah,
How so?
He doesn't want to play. He did not play 3 games in the beginning of the season.
Yes.
No, he wanted to go. Then there was
He-
interest from China. He was supposed to be, and they didn't let him go. Or
Yeah.
it was a bit of a standoff.
So do you think January he's gone?
I think he
It's
wants to
possible,
leave.
though.
I think he wants to leave.
To who? To where?
Oh, I don't know. He's not. Listen, top goal scorer in NFD, top goal scorer in Premier
Yeah.
League. You're a top player, and
Yeah.
you realize you won't be scoring those type of a goal all the time.
Right.
Your price is gonna go down, 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 and then disappear. So he has to cash now.
If he's fit, you look at Chiefs have Nurkovic. I don't think they're gonna need
Yeah.
another one.
So who's in need? Which team is
Sundowns
in
don't.
need?
Wits need a striker. I mean, Gavin Hunt's made no secret of that. Whether they'll want to pay the kind of wages that Musonda probably will want for a move to
Yes.
to a top club
Yes.
is another story.
Right. Well, let's see what happens because it'll be interesting. You're right. Musonda has been the one who's been edging out of the club for the longest time. He's trying to get out of there. Let's see if there'll be any buyers come January. But very quickly before we move on, let's touch on Rulani's position. Does he stay? Does he go? Does he cut a happy figure? Are people reading too much into the fact that he didn't seem to celebrate the first goal? He seemed to be quite isolated on the bench. Do you think what's changed? Besides him not being the caretaker.
There are a few things that yesterday I think the attack on Rulani is becoming almost cynical now. It's not football anymore. Before it was, if you're Kaizer Chiefs, Sundowns, and any other team than Orlando Pirates, you should celebrate Rulani losing because that's what football is. But the attack on his person now is becoming a bit cynical. Rulani is a very immature head coach. He knows it. And he went in the period. Today we'll be talking about different Rulani. If Orlando Pirates were winning, we'll say it is him.
Right.
And everybody will celebrate. And then if he start losing, what will we say? And we have seen Steve Compella have been attacked, but Steve Compella succeeded in any other places, but he came in a Kaizer Chiefs, he did not do well. That's what the business of football is for coaches.
Right.
But with Rulani, we are looking every single aspect of Rulani. We take pictures of him. What is he doing? What is he saying? My conversation with Rulani, which it was a bit in distance, it was very simple. Go back, say, I appreciate what Orlando Pirates gave me as an opportunity as a caretaker. To learn to be as a head coach is not easy. Take the lesson that you learned and then build into it for you to become a better coach later.
Yeah, and say, I look forward to working with
don't move away from Orlando Pirates. It will kill you. It's like taking a striker, a young player, come in his first game, and then miss 2 chances and then put him out.
Yeah.
Some coaches as well are just very good assistant coaches. And when they try and take a position as a head coach, it doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
I mean, Rulani as an assistant to Pizzo was fantastic.
Right.
Pizzo didn't really want him to go and anything, but he went to Pirates' boyhood club as an assistant to Micho. He was fantastic. You know, it was a combination that worked really well. He became a head coach and it wasn't fantastic.
Right.
So maybe he just needs to settle into the fact that for now he's an assistant coach. And maybe one day in the future.
The Portuguese coach from Man United,
Queiroz.
Very good assistant. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson nearly died when he left. But as a head coach, he got fired everywhere.
It happens. It does happen. You're right. Let's keep it moving. Mamelodi Sundowns winning against Polokwane City. I mean, this was a game where Sundowns, whilst they edged it, and Peter will say it was a hard-fought, hard-earned victory. I mean, they had so many chances. If you look at the likes of Mkhulise, maybe having 3 chances. Langaman had 2 chances. Just seemed to all be following for the wrong finishes.
A basketball or a cricket score, really.
It could have been,
Very, very quickly.
Just not the right people at the right time, I guess, in those positions to make the most of those chances.
Mkhulise has put in some pretty cool finishes of late.
Right.
So you think he is the right person, but obviously he's a young player and he's probably going to be a bit inconsistent.
Villaka scored that goal, right?
Yeah, Villagazi did score in the 86th minute.
All PSL strikers can be a bit inconsistent on some level.
Right.
Of attackers. I thought that, Morena did fantastically well. And then Villakazi was in the right place to get the winner. And Sundowns, that's one of those games where if you draw, I mean, you don't even know how you drew that game.
Yeah, sure.
They were totally justified to get the 3 points, and it was a vital 3 points actually, having drawn with Wits in midweek. For Wits and Sundowns both to win their games after that was very important.
And then
in
for
terms
Chiefs
of the
to draw.
race. And obviously with Chiefs drawing.
Yeah.
Leaves us a bit more nicely poised. It's not going to be a procession, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay, and then in terms of Clinton Larson?
But another point of Mamelodi Sundowns, I don't know the age average, but they look very mature. The attitude of the players. It looks like they know they will score, but they don't know when. But they are approaching the game. They don't change the pace of the game, but they keep it going, they keep it counting, and it looks like they will score.
And they play their brand. They don't change too much.
They don't.
They stick to their principles.
It's for me that it tells you that they are championship material. Listen, Mamelodi Sundowns, I think the last game I saw them really dominating a game and getting good results against Orlando Pirates 2 seasons ago. Last season, they won the league, but they did not dominate games. But it's just like this, the results are coming. And this season, we start seeing it again. Last year, the best game they played was against El Ali. And so that is Mamelodi Sundowns. And I think that is the problem with Kaizer Chiefs. How will they deal with the fact now they can see it's not in the corner like in Formula One. You don't see the guy who's coming behind. Now they can see. The target is now Chiefs are there, and then you have Bidvest and you have Merson. Now Kaizer Chiefs, they have to deal with that situation. Yeah.
Did Clinton Larson make the most of I mean, I don't want to say leggy Sundowns, but they would have played midweek and then they would have played at the weekend. Even Pizzo after the game says he underestimated his team's legs. He thought that they wouldn't have the energy to get across the line.
It's a hard one for your first game as a new head coach,
Right.
To play Sundowns away and have to get anything from the game. He does have a reasonably good record against Sundowns as a coach, Clinton, but I think it's difficult again, a bit like Zinbauer, to judge on a first game on the bench
without too much preparation.
Yeah, and against Sundowns, with who have so much quality. If in terms of squad depth, you just can't match Sundowns.
You can't match.
Right? That's why they can win the league and go far in the Champions League.
can.
Right.
And they won the Telkom knockout already.
Right.
And the one massive plus for them is Jali, who is just in the
Reborn.
kind of form that really made him one of the best midfielders in the country. And
Yeah.
the way he just set up that goal against Wits was
That-
just a sensational piece
That
of play.
goal, Jonty, you have watched so many games in PSL. We have to be honest. People might underestimate that pass, that goal. You don't see it much in our football. Their players are running toward their own goal. He put the ball in the position where any defender, you don't want to touch that ball because if he touches the own goal.
Right.
And the way he runs toward the defender, I'm still remembering who was the defender. He did not shine away from him. It was Clancy. He actually put his ball where Clancy was, because if you turn around, you will break your hips.
Right.
And he just will keep going. I criticized Jali for a very, very long time since he got back.
Right.
His weight, his attitude, his positioning. But in that game against Bidvest, even the final, for me, I think it was.
I mean, even
superb.
in this game, let's be honest. I mean, he was playing passes that were out of this world, finding players in gaps, and he was the one who was reading the game better than anyone else on the pitch.
Bafana.
And he has that pass in, like that pass Christmas. He has that beautiful
He has that beautiful
killer
pass.
pass in
Yeah,
him,
he
which
does.
a lot of South African midfielders
Was it
unfortunately
a cutback for a finish? It was a miss kick from Zungu.
I thought that
Zwane.
Zwane, I thought that was a miss kick. But, yeah.
It looks
Wow.
like it was a miss kick.
It does look like a mistake, yeah. Okay, well, Lars is now also complaining that they're a bit thin as far as Polokwane City are concerned, as far as players are concerned. He didn't have a lot of the people that he would have liked to have start.
You should ask that question deeply to John T. What is going on in Polokwane City? What do you know? A
do you
team
know,
cannot
John T?
crash so
I
quickly
don't know why he's asking me.
because you know
You
the
have the
stories.
inside scoop.
I mean,
On
come on.
Polokwane City.
Yeah.
Polokwane just crumbled. Like 6 games or 7 games.
Look, I think that Mazola. Let's not ask Mazola when he's on here about Zlatko Krumpetic, the
Right.
Polokwane City coach, because
Right.
he uses a word that I don't use. But anyway, it's he doesn't think he's really a very good coach, and that's basically, the gist of it is that Vukovic set up a good structure, then he left, and he left because his family did not want to live in Polokwane, and I don't, his family wanted him to come home because he didn't want to live in Polokwane, but now he's in Durban at Amazulu because his family don't mind living by the sea. They'd rather live by the sea.
Wow.
He coached in Cape Town, so he set up. He's a good coach. I saw Amazulu won again this weekend.
Yes, yeah.
But he can coach, and he set up a really good structure. And Krumpetic kind of even admitted in the beginning when they were winning all those games, they were basically using the same structure as and I think eventually you're found out.
Yeah.
And I think he was found out. And that's why it fell apart.
Wow. Because
I do agree with Mazola in a sense. I don't think the guy was really competent to coach
when you had Anas, you had Maluleke, you had they were getting results, and suddenly this is the team we're playing in top 4 of Premier League for the past 2 seasons, and they can't just find the result.
But I mean, is it not also that, as much as you may be that team, the teams around you also get better? The other teams around
Baroka
you.
does not get better.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other teams that are coming up in terms
Black Leopard is
of
not
making
getting
it
better.
more interesting. You got
Well,
Highlands,
the other thing is
you
they
got
had- they didn't-
Maritzburg.
They were winning games at the beginning of the season, but they were winning 1-0. They were kind of like
unconvincing.
defending for 90
Yeah.
minutes and then grabbing a goal in the last minute. Or, it wasn't the prettiest. It was almost like the old defensive structure was still there.
Yeah.
But once it became to sort of changing to anything more creative than that, and they got found out, and the
But listen,
Krumbic
they are
didn't
good.
have any
They are
idea
good
about how to
enough
fix it.
To stay up.
to be in the relegation
Potentially,
battle.
they've got the squad to
They've
to
got the
stay up.
squad.
Yeah.
They will. That group, their teams like Amazulu, Cape Town City, and Polokwane City. I'm not worrying for them.
Right.
No, I'm not worried. For
Who
them.
are you worried for?
I'm worrying for Black Leopard, Baroka. Stellenbosch, they might play in playoff, but they won't be relegated directly. Baroka is the team that I'm really, really worrying about.
Yeah,
the
it's
coach is gone.
automatic.
The coach is gone.
Yeah.
Today.
I'm really worrying about Baroka. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to another team that also, I guess, looking at them, their coach, as in having been brought in, Norman Mapeza, a lot of people were like, oh, he's crazy to take the job at Chippa. Probably only going to be there a couple of months. But lo and behold, here he is. He's getting things done. I mean, Super Sports, inconsistent and maybe not as ruthless as a team that would win the title has to be against the smaller teams. I mean, when they play the bigger teams, Supersport show up. But Chippa United, I guess, on the road, it can be argued, they lose 1-0. But, I mean, there was a battle that started in that game between Rodman Williams and William Twala for the first opening stanza for a little while. And then eventually the breakthrough does come through after, we have Xolani Mahola dancing past Clayton Daniels, who literally went like this for Mahola to go past him. I get it. He doesn't want to foul him in the box, but he essentially said, there you go. Go for it.
I think your point about Supersport is very valid. Even since 2010, since they won 3 titles in a row, they've been this team that you think has the squad to kind of take on the best, and then they're good for a cup, but they don't have the consistency in the league. And again, it's proving that way. I mean, they are third, but they've played, I think, 3 or 4 more games than Wits, who are a point behind them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't really think that they will challenge. I think they're a bit too reliant on certain players. Like if Grobler doesn't fire, they don't really seem to hit the back of the net enough.
Right.
Gabuza's started well, but now has gone back into that.
Because
thing
you
of-
celebrated Gabuza too much.
we overpraised him, maybe.
You
Gabuza.
overpraised
I
Gabuza.
suspect
And what
we-
it got to him.
Every newspaper open is Gabuza.
At least we know that
Because didn't
Supersport
he need
fans
that,
won't boo
though?
him.
We speak about football being a confident sport. Didn't he need just to be shown some love? What he does with it now is up to him, but surely...
Confidence should not come from outside. It should come from yourself. It should come from you every week turning up. You see, when I speak to players, young players, and I keep on telling them they're very, very lucky. I mean, listen, the first time I wear a soccer boot, I was 20. That is very odd, right?
Yes, it's very late.
And thanks to Terry Payne. Terry Payne is the first coach to see me. When I speak to these young players, I say, you forget why people write about you. For Jonty to want to have an interview with you, that means you did something good. But forget about what Jonty say about you. Remember what you did for Jonty to want to speak to you.
Right.
And what you did is you performed good. So why
keep
did you
that up.
perform good?
Yeah.
Go and train harder.
Yeah.
Our players, they will concentrate in the interview they've done.
I guess, you know what, I can't argue because you've been there and done that. So you know the psyche of our players. But how do you change that then? I mean, how do you professionalize?
Bench them.
It's not one or two
That's
players.
what they did to Jali. People talked about Peter putting Jali in the bench. He benched him when he was overweight. Today he's gonna play him every single game.
Right, because
That's
he
where
reacted.
Pizzo is a good coach.
He's a good
Right,
coach.
yeah.
He benched you. Vilacaz is not giving what Vilacaz was bought to do. He put him on the
And
bench.
it's not just that he gets
Gets
the
a reaction.
consistency out of his team.
Right.
Sundowns are clearly over the last few seasons the most consistent team
Right.
Thank you.
in South Africa because Pizzo does that kind of thing. When a player is not performing, I don't. Grobler works hard even when he's not scoring goals.
Yes.
He
Right.
certainly fights
Yes.
for his team. I just
Right.
think, I mean, Supersport are
Do
just
you
way
think
too inconsistent.
Rowan Williams should leave? I think that boy is one of the underrated goalkeeper we have in the country. I don't know if because of the club he's playing for.
He's the Bafana number one. I don't think he's underrated.
No, in the
Yeah.
club, no. The national team plays once in a while.
Right, so you're thinking he
For
deserves
the
to be in a better club.
What was the last time we talked about Williams beside when he's playing for Bafana?
But who does he unseat and where?
I think he is a good goalkeeper for Orlando Pirates.
I don't see that. I could see that happening. Pirates
But
don't
they've got
really.
Sundowns and they've got Delhi.
Sunderland is on.
Look, Sandilands will eventually leave, and Delhi hasn't really been a success.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Orlando Pirates is a big club.
Yeah.
Like they did in 1995, they go for big name players.
Right.
Make a big statement. Go and take Rowan. It's
Rowan
a
would be a good
huge
fit.
statement.
I mean, yeah, he is a top class keeper. Like I say, he pretty much kept Supersport in the game between him and William Twala. Twala was getting into some good positions, but it was Ronwin who won for the most part until obviously the goal came from Mahola. But you're right. I guess he could do with maybe a change of scenery. But Supersport United, they're not a team that are easily bullied into selling players. So
No,
yeah, I don't think unless
not
it's
unless the price is right,
eye-watering
and they do, and players are
offer.
comfortable there. I mean, players
Yeah.
do get looked after by Supersport,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's no huge reason for.
But you
Ronwin
like to
leave.
see him,
Like
a
you
team
say,
Orlando Pirates.
he's playing. He's not like he has to go to Pirates or Chiefs to become Bafana number one. He is the Bafana.
He is
number
Bafana number one, yeah,
So
of course.
he's got that gig, and at the moment, and yeah, I think he's comfortable at Supersport. But
Yeah, I
unless
think
if,
maybe it was an overseas move. That might be
overseas move
Not
or,
easy.
or but how many of our goalkeepers actually
Not
do go
easy.
overseas?
No,
don't
of
they?
course,
and
of course.
and
Probably the least of the
This
positions.
the reality
we
is what
export.
is Bafana number one is because in all those top teams
Yeah.
you don't have a South African goalkeeper.
Oh, well,
obviously
you got
except
Sundowns
Kune, who
and
was
Sundowns.
number one before he got injured.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I see what you're saying, and he's probably
No,
number
I like
one
him. I like him very much. I think
because of
he is
consistency.
a really club football underrated. I think we don't talk much about him, but he is a very good goalkeeper.
And then Norman Mapeza, what are we going to say about him? Because here's a guy found cheaper in 16th.
Yeah, I
Sitting
mean,
in
I
10th
think we've
now.
discussed it before. I mean, obviously the chipper job seems like a hot potato, and why does anyone take the job with? They're going to be fired, on the basis of a couple of bad results by
Right.
Chipper and Mengezi. But I think that we underestimate. I think it's been mentioned here by Valile, especially the value, the kind of value that the PSL jobs are held in by coaches all over Africa. So if one becomes available, it doesn't matter if it's Chipper. This guy
You
wanted
go
to
put
come
yourself in the
take the
shop
job.
window as well.
And
yeah.
he's doing fantastically well. That's all there is to it. He's turned the team around. They're winning games. They beat, fantastic win
They've
over
got good
Supersport.
players, huh?
Yeah.
They're very well
But he's
organised.
the first coach to now, looks like, shedding quite a bit of those players. I mean, Manzini, the two Manzinis
Yeah.
are on their way out.
Yeah.
Kurt Lenkies is also on his way out. He seems to be doing a clear out in January. And I don't know if you find value in the market in January. So, is he doing that because he's got the replacements lined up already? Surely.
Well, the other thing is he doing it or is the owner doing
That I
it?
wanted to say. Nobody
I very much think the owner's
nobody
doing
lies
it.
to you.
Yeah.
Probably Gavin Hunt and the Pitum Smane. No coach in South Africa buys players
Right.
or sells players.
Right.
None.
That's a contractual situation that the owners decided. If I was to offer my opinion on that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so you think that's
No, we
someone
don't
else
think.
pulling those strings?
I
Oh,
think
you're
that's
thinking.
My peers
Yeah,
offering an
that's
opinion.
what you're thinking. You're saying it because you're thinking it.
No, because I know it's a fact.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. So clearly not up to him, but I'm just worried. I think you get rid of those unless they're toxic to the environment and they're not good for the dressing room. But it's very rare that in January you can get rid of two strikers and find two of equal quality.
If you are a bad guy in the change room and the owner still wants you, you are going nowhere.
They can do some loan deals with their regular loan friends, Orlando Pirates.
We have a lot of players to loan
We
out.
have too many players as it
too
is.
many players. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they get rid of the players and get some loan deals to tide them over. But it strikes me as a bit of a...
Is Justin Shonga back in the Pirates team?
Why Shongo is sitting outside?
I don't know what he's doing at training or what he's not doing at training.
Yeah,
Yes.
that I always say that when people ask me why the coach is not starting, I say
there you go.
you were not there on Thursday.
Exactly. People don't underestimate that a lot of the decisions as to why players played is what they do
in the training ground.
And then what people don't see, which is the training ground. But yeah, no. Let's see what Chiba does. I mean, it's always can't ever with certainty say they've got or arrested the slide. There's still half a season to go, but so far so good for Norman Mapeza. Gaetano Tembo ends the year off and the decade with a loss for his super sports side. Let's move on to Bidvest Wits and Cape Town City. Bidvest Wits, like you said earlier, Gavin says he likes to be playing. He even suggested that maybe the league shouldn't take a break in December and that everyone should carry on playing football. But that momentum definitely seems to be helping him against Cape Town City. 2-0 in the end, a convincing win. Zukamanja on the score sheet again. And, Duty and Tyson seem to have this connection on the weekend. There was one chance where Tyson didn't get the head-on target, but then he did with the winning goal. And you just think to yourself that, okay, a lot has been said about Bidvest Wits behind the scenes and whether they're going to be able to contend this season because of the off-field problems, but it seems like, if anything, this almost sort of like Bloem Celtic. When there was hardship, it galvanized the team on the field. And I think we're seeing something similar with Bidvest Wits.
Often when people undermine a team or question the team, I always ask which player in that team you wouldn't like. Bidvest, we forget it. This is the back four of South African football.
Right. For the most part, yeah.
I mean, this except Mukonazi is not there at the moment. I haven't seen him play few games. But the rest of the three players, this is the backbone.
Not the right back, but Atlanti, Tyson, and Kwanazi when he plays.
Those are our players in the national team. So Bidvest is not bad at the back. They do get some bad games that they don't play well. In the middle of the park, another underrated player, Munari. For me, I think in South Africa, if you have a midfielder, a proper midfielder, is Munari. Well play with Alexander in that position.
Right.
I don't know why the coach does not play the three of them, Otto, Pelembe and Duty. I don't know. Strategically, I don't know. But I think all those three players, they can take players and they destabilize any defensive team position. But when you play Pelembe, does not play Duty. When you play Duty, does not play Pelembe. And they keep on swapping where you play Otto. Bidvest got players. I am worrisome of Bidvest. They might win the league this season. Without fanfare, without noise, they are consistent where they go. What made Bidvest strong the past 2 seasons, it is their away result. This season, they are losing away from home. They can't win at home, but when they play away from home, they are so good. Gavin does not find the formula where to win at home. Maybe that's why they're not playing the game, their home games.
Dobsonville
they
this
beat
weekend,
Pirates in Durban, they beat Cape Town City in Dobsonville.
So maybe they should never
drew
go
with
back to Moore
Sundowns in
Park.
Durban. They must just not play.
Never go back to
So
Moore
maybe
Park,
that's why he wants to play them here, because they were so good when they're not playing at home.
But Vince also, I think I agree with Chris in a lot of ways, because 23 points from 11 games. In normal circumstances, if Chiefs hadn't had this incredible start to the season, that would be title-winning form.
Yes.
Yes. As it is, it's slightly off the pace, but it's not much off the pace. The only problem for Wits is this kind of situation where they have played 11 games and everyone else has played 14 games and 13 games, and they have to keep playing catch-up. And, Pizza always said that catch-up is not... I remember one season, I think Sundowns were behind Wits when Wits won the league.
Yeah,
right.
when they won
They had the games in hand, but they couldn't win them. When it came to the crunch, they didn't win the games in hand.
They drew against
and then Wits beat
Baroka.
Sundowns at Bidvest Stadium, and then that basically put them in a great position to win the title. So I think, that's the I think they've got... I looked at their fixture list in January. I think they've got like 6 or 7 league games, or maybe even... They've got a lot of league games in January.
And he does not have a
There's
big
one
squad,
against Chiefs that's been moved because of the Confed Cup, but he hasn't got a huge squad. And he's got Motupa as his top scorer in the league with like 2 or 3 goals. There's not much happening there.
Right.
I like Motupa, but he's not a prolific goal scorer. So he needs I think they need to go and buy a striker or do what Wits do and get a free striker, which is...
Well, the thing is, here's what's promising. They could get Musonda.
Because they score with a header, so you have Otto and you have Pelembe, they can cross the ball.
Otto has been terrific for Wits.
We're looking at late November, right? The multi-choice Disky Challenge. I'm looking at who the top scorers are. You have one Rowan Lancaster, plays for Bidvest Wits. The guy in third, Solik Mola He's also on 8 goals.
Bidvest
Bidvest Wits. Sundowns have some players from the this league in terms of goal tallies that are also in and amongst the mix. But maybe it's an opportunity to try give these guys a bit of a run. Maybe in continental at this stage is maybe high stakes, and that's where you want. But where does he put his priority, Gavin?
Everywhere. He
You
knows.
think they have enough of a squad to fight on?
He
two
knows
fronts?
low-hanging fruit. It is the championship, the league,
Right.
because going to play away from home, because now he drew a game at home against
Oroya.
Oroya, yeah.
away. It won't be an
And
easy
he lost
game.
in Mali.
He lost in Mali against Joliba, who never lose a game at home. Like something like 50 CAF game. He
Right,
knew it.
right.
Here it won't be an easy game. I think he doesn't want to lose the CAF Confederation Cup, but he knows it is far-fetched.
I think a lot will depend on the game on the 29th.
29th, yes.
Because if they don't beat that Libyan team Al Nasr, then I
Al
think they're
Nasr,
in
yeah.
big trouble.
So
And
it's
I think it
finished,
might be a point at which he goes, okay, we're not going to make it through.
Right.
So he has
Let's focus on
Nedbank
the
Cup
league.
and they have a championship. But the championship, it is low-hanging fruit for them.
Okay, and then on the opposite end, Coach Rickerink. What have we made of his start? Cape Town City just doesn't seem to be coming together. I mean, there's not been a marked
I like
improvement.
Jonty's face, because that was the comment that we made. We say, I like a coach who is a defensive offensive coach.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea if Cape Town City, they know which football they want to play.
Right.
It's
I
like a
think-
play as you go.
I often look at a coach, how he comes across in the media, and sometimes the coach can come across really badly in the media and still be a good coach. But
Right.
Rickerink is a bit of an oddball. When I've seen his post-match interviews and things like that, he's a little bit like, he's got this kind of attitude. It's almost a bit,
It comes to fix.
it's like,
He says he
seems
believes
angry
in,
or
he says
something.
he believes in his players, and it was one of the statements when I looked at it and I'm like, you don't look like you believe in your players.
But
It
also,
looks like lip service. It
you
looks
know,
like
you can't. He's had how many games now? They haven't scored a single goal.
Yeah.
yes,
And this is
exactly.
a team with like some really good attacking talent in
Yeah.
it. Okay, Kermit Erasmus is out injured, and he's been their best striker. But you gotta kind of and they were struggling defensively, and maybe his priority was to sort out the defense.
Which
and
he
they've
has
had-
not done.
We've had a couple of 0-0 draws.
Yeah.
But
Don't
that-
you think he
but-
might lose no data?
Mm.
He might lose no data because
Well,
that's,
Cape Town City do tend to be a selling club if
Yes.
the right
that's
price
another
comes.
strong midfielder.
Um,
He's
well,
big.
they
he,
do-
He led to one of the goals, but yeah, I
It's
get your
a
point.
sort of toss up because you got to give the guy some time
yeah.
and to sort of imprint himself on the
How long
the
do you
team.
give a coach?
But how long do you give him when you've sacked quite a popular guy in Benny
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy? And it's quite clear that the problems at City are far deeper than Benny
Then
McCarthy.
Benny, sure.
So I think it's a difficult one for John Comitis because also City are used to being up the top there.
Of
And
course,
at the
and now
moment
they're
they're in a
second last.
relegation
I
battle.
was making a joke. I say Cape Town City playing against Bidvest, supposed to be top of the log clash. For the past 3 seasons, that's what we knew.
Yeah.
Vets playing against Cape Town City. We're watching. Suddenly, we're watching top of the log versus bottom of the log. Like,
I mean, I think I saw City won a game at Vits 3-2, an absolute crack at it.
Yeah.
Put them right in the title race. And,
yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
cap-
game.
last
I think
season
the
or the
goal
season
came
before.
and
Yeah.
something like
So
the referee did not give a
end-to-end
goal.
stuff when they were scoring goals back then. But,
Back then. It seems
but
like
I
a
think
far time ago.
and obviously it does look a bit when they win the game before he takes over 5-3 or just before. They score 5 goals and they can't score
Ever since he's come in.
like, they lost 2-1 to Leopards in a game that they claimed was a bit dodgy, but nobody saw the
Yes, it was
nobody
one
could
of
see
those
on the television cover.
untelevised ones.
And then he
I-
came in and they haven't scored a
I
goal.
always
since.
ask a question for those owners when they know that they're gonna fire this coach to bring somebody else. Do they tell those coaches to watch the few games before they hire them? I don't know.
They surely must. As a general
Or you just know.
professionalism, you have to surely to know the depth of what you have to go do here. Surely, as a coach, you must.
And then
try
you come
and
to the interview, you say, okay,
Then you
this is
say,
what I will change, this is what I will change, that
this
will
is my
change.
plan. Surely, you must do a presentation and kind of say, this is what you would hope. That's how
I would
it's
assume.
done.
I mean, those Comitas and Recurrent go back to Ajax Amsterdam, the Ajax days when Comitas was chairman at Ajax Amsterdam, Cape Town, and
Yes.
Recurrent was coach at Ajax Amsterdam at one point. And those two have had a relationship since then. or
So he says, so
known each
now I'll
other.
come and fix your team.
So he was looking for a guy he knew, I guess, to come in and
To fix.
And yeah, well, the main thing he said to me
Because what was
to-
broken?
to-
The Cape Town City, they got bad result, but nothing was broken. I think
I don't know. I mean,
I
I
don't
think
think
some
anything was
people were,
too broken. I think there were some problems. But
Yeah, but I think also there was, as a coach, there's only so much you can protect your players. And I think you could start seeing that Benny maybe was, just kind of laying the blame.
but he was getting
at
upset with the
their-
players
He
because
was.
they were very mature. I mean, come on, the game against Orlando Pirates, the
Yeah,
game
but Chris,
against
that,
another-
like the moment that a coach rubs enough of the squad of the dressing room the wrong way, there's only one way it's gonna go. You don't want to get rid of those players.
yeah.
You need to find a coach. that
It's
those
easier to
players don't play.
to fly one.
Fire
person
one
than-
coach. Yeah, it's one payout. It's one payout. Imagine having to how many players you're gonna have to pay off to say goodbye to your team.
Polokwane City, Cape Town City, for me, those two teams, I still, if I'm an investigating journalist, that's what I will do. I want to find out what's happened. It's not normal. It's not normal. Those two teams, they were top 5, top 4.
Yeah.
From nowhere, same squad, same players. Orlando Pirates, we know the story. Orlando Pirates, like I told you, it is an Instagram team. They want to be on social media. That's fine. But Cape Town City and Polokwane City just...
well, City did let a lot of players go,
Yes, for the right price.
and they did bring in players that sort of made up for that. But now
Yeah.
maybe that
It's
little,
not working
little
as
circle,
smoothly.
little rotating
the
thing is
wheel,
not
the wheel is
working
coming back.
because Manyama went, Patosi went.
Mm.
Have they really been replaced in the current City squad? I mean, Gift Links and Surprise Rolani, for example, are good players, but is
Are they like for
is
like?
it happening?
Was
Yeah.
Patosi a good player?
I thought Patosi
Where
was.
is he?
I thought he's in Azerbaijan.
Yeah. Is it
Something like
Azerbaijan?
that, is it?
Is he not in the Arab Emirates?
Because
Yeah, he's in
So he-
the
Azerbaijan.
So
no,
if,
Arab
Emirates.
Emirates.
in the
if
Emirates.
we're looking like this, that is my point. My point is they did not lose a good player.
Oh.
No. Patosi, by PSL standards, was a good player. He was a good player.
Oh,
He could
man.
deliver a ball. He could score a goal. He was a bit inconsistent.
It was good enough for
but he
someone
was
to
a good
part with some amount of dollars, So
He's a national team player.
They cashed in. They cashed in. Let's move on to the Highlands Park game. They won 2-0 against Golden Arrows. I mean, their season so far, Highlands Park, but in a sense, it should be expected. They have a very decent squad, so that's not a team that you should be surprised can make things interesting.
Okay. Players you can name names in Highland Park, and that is the beauty of it. When I played under Owen de Gama at the Silver Stars, when it was Silver Star to be promoted, we were the most fittest team in NFD then. That is Owen de Gama.
Right.
Owen de Gama, from my Belgium time, he used to say, if you have an average player, he's much fitter, he become better player than a good player. They are. You cannot tell me. I watch their game. I try to analyze their games. I cannot see strategy how they get, but they get results because they just run. They just. Owen the Gamma just makes the guy run, and everybody plays for everybody, and they create a few chances. But when they get them, they do finish them often. And of course, Shalulile now is looking great. Muvala, I don't see him anymore scoring goals, but he's doing his job in the middle of the park, and. Are they a package? Not anymore. They are a team that will be fighting for top 8 now.
Right.
Not
So
top
they're not
4.
a surprise package
No, top
anymore.
8. Don't look at them, they're going to win the championship. They're not Leicester.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win the championship, but they're definitely going to nick points off those teams in and around the top, surely. Like Cape Town City were the party spoilers last season. They were the team that didn't stand a chance. Really, you could say mathematically they
By the way,
did, but they...
That way, Kaizer Chiefs, good luck, Omen started. Against Silver
Highlands
Highland Park.
Highland Park, the first game.
from 2-1 to 3-2.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That happens, yes. So, I mean, they're now sitting in the top 6 position. Golden Arrows, I mean, you can lose a game in football. You're away from home. They're 7th. It doesn't inflict too much damage on them.
I like Steve Compella, so I can't talk much.
It's his friend.
No, listen, Steve has created a brand of football with less talented player, but they put so much pressure in South African football ways. Like when they play against Orlando Pirates, they will just sit and then that ball, boom, they will run with it. So their counter-attack is very, very effective. And of course, we saw it when he was in Bloemfontein Celtic before leaving. And we saw what he has done with Gordon Hours. This is another contender for top 8.
A bit better at home at the Sugar Ray Kulu than away from home.
Bad pitch.
But they're obviously more used to it. They did lose to Wits there recently, but that was an interesting game. They were in that game.
Yeah.
Some strange refereeing going on, but anyway. But yeah, I think Arrows will be fine. They'll be they top 8 or just outside it.
Yeah. Amazulu beating Bloem Celtic at the weekend. Stellenbosch also gaining points. So it's been a nice close for the likes of Stellenbosch and Amazulu, you know?
Stellenbosch, I remember our journalist in the newspaper, they used to say, target 30 points. PSL for to get relegated. So if I'm Stellenbosch, 15 game, 15 points, I'm going to have a good holiday. I won't be having nightmares.
Right.
Halfway to go, I get 15 points. I look at it in the second half when I come back. They will get points from Baroka if they push very well. They can get points from Black Leopards. They can get a point from Celtic or Chippa. I mean, what I mean point is wins. So if they get 4 or 5 more wins, they're safe. So all they need to do this season is to survive.
And I guess maybe considering who they're backed by, it could be an interesting January as far as maybe some loan deals that you can conclude as Stellenbosch to get some players in just to help you get over the line. It would be a good investment, surely, if you bring in some loan players.
Yeah, I think they've got the squad to survive. I think and they've got a clear plan and they're already ahead of it. So I think they'll be happy if they just make it survive. Just a point on Amazulu, who's when Bongi and Thuli scored their equaliser against Bloem Celtic, they'd scored 8 goals in the league this season, and Bongi and Thuli had scored all 8 of them. He's a quality striker.
He is a quality striker, but a bit of
obviously didn't work out for him at Sundowns a little bit, and then obviously they got the winner via another source.
Yeah.
But,
15 points. 15 points, you can get it out of 5 games, right? So you get 15 points to be safe. So I will look, if I'm Stellenbosch, I'll look, can I get 3 points against Chippa? Yes. I might make a mistake against Baroka. I might find myself very lucky against Pirate or Chiefs to get a point. So when you start making your path.
They've already got 3 points against Pirates.
No, I'm saying the second half. When you start looking to your path to survival, they've got a clear path to survive. And they've proven it. They play Kaizer Chiefs, they play Mamelodi Sundowns, they play Orlando Pirates. Those results going to give them some news to say, we're not that bad, we can do this. But how did we lose against Baroque? How did we get a point? So that's going to change their attitude. But
let's see. Let's see. Stevie B has it all to do in the second half of the season, rather. And like you say, though, they are ahead of schedule and ahead of their targets as far as a club are concerned, Stellenbosch. But kudos to them for making things interesting. It's not the same old story of the promoted team sitting at the bottom of the table. They find themselves just above that relegation zone. They're on 15 points, whilst Cape Town City in 15th are on 13 points. But then again, if they do start well on the second half of the season, they can go as high as probably 9th in the first round.
Well, that's the thing in the PSL in those sort of areas, isn't it? You win 3 games on the spin, suddenly you're in the top 8.
Yeah, of course.
That's how it works.
Of course. No, it is. It is.
And you drop one game like Kaizer Chiefs, they found themselves from a double digit to 1 digit.
Yeah, no, it's changed. It went from a double-digit lead to just now a lead of 7 points.
They could have gone in a holiday with 12-point lead.
Yeah, they could have.
Now it's what? 9.
Well,
7.
7 points. 28 is what Sundowns are sitting on, and 35 is what
9-point lead. I think they could have gone in with, because they won. To be fair, they won 8 games in a row. I mean, that's not bad. This was the 9th that they were going for.
Right.
I mean, it's not exactly the worst run.
That could have been a record, isn't it? 9. 7. 7. 7 points. 28. Is what Sundowns are sitting on, and 35 is what.
They won. To be fair, they won 8 games in a row. I mean, that's not bad. This was the 9th that they were going for.
That could have been a record, isn't it? I think it could have been a record in PSL.
This
isn't
for
it?
them.
I think
Kaizer
they have.
Chiefs.
They might even have the record.
Yeah.
They certainly had it after 13 games.
Yeah.
They might have it after 14 as well.
That's
Oh, there
that's
we go.
incredible.
No, well, that's a good way to end things. Speaking about the team at the top, can they have the energy next year to carry on with what's been a fine start? Kaizer Chiefs sitting pretty. 14 games played, never scored a boatload of goals, the most in the league, 29. So they've been very ruthless in front of goal. The second best, as far as a goal haul, is Orlando Pirates.
But they've got a goalkeeper. I mean, they've got a striker coach.
How many goals have Pirates conceded though?
Oh, well, yeah, almost as many as they've scored. They've scored 22 and they've conceded 21.
It's all about balance.
Yeah, I
right?
know. So it's definitely
Yeah.
balanced there. One is the goal difference.
But
for
you see,
them.
that's what I feel sorry for Rulani, because if you just look at those games that they failed to score extra goal than their opponent, it is something like 4 games, and that is equal, basically 8 points. And the 8 points you put what they've got now, they would have found themselves there. It was just, you are right, it was ridiculous the way they were defending. It's like,
Well, cometh the hour, cometh the Zimbabwe. Let's see.
Let's see.
We'll see what happens next year. I mean, he'll have not much time, because when you hear the coaches speak, it's a case of just enjoy Christmas. But around the 27th, they're already back.
But they're playing
preparing.
like first weekend in Jan.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So the likes of Wits playing on the 29th, then they're already in
fourth. Yeah.
PSL action on the 4th of January. So it is a short, tiny break.
Well, for
And
Wits and Sundowns, there's no break.
There's no break for those two. Yeah, but let's see. The new coaches, let's see if there'll be a new coach at Baroka by the time.
there will be a new coach.
Oh, there will be, but who it is? I think I'm more interested to
I
see.
think Nyaranda might be unveiled if the Zambian Football Federation president's wish and the president of the republic wish comes true.
Right.
He'll be unveiled in the new year as the head coach.
Okay, for the national team.
Yeah, because they did ask him to go to Zambia. too.
Right.
Yeah.
Then who takes the job at Baroka?
Anybody.
Any ideas? Any guesses? You wouldn't venture a guess?
See, again, it comes down to this thing. Nyarenda took the job at Baroka. It comes down to this thing. If it's actually, see a team like Baroka, or they're bottom of the league, or they're third from bottom, and they're struggling, and who would want to take that job? But the PSL is a very
It's a good
attractive
product.
league for top class African coaches to want to come here and they're very competitive salaries, and
Yeah.
I think they'll get a good coach.
Well, I think they will. And they
Whether
need
they'll
to
survive or
rest
not,
this.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's going to be very interesting. Sitting in 14th, coachless for now. They definitely will have someone in place, we're sure, for the second round. As to who that is, your guess is as good as ours. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We've done just over an hour of chat, recapping the first half of the 2019-2020 ABSA Premiership table and season. Well done to Kaizer Chiefs, only for the halfway mark. Mamelodi Sundowns, Supersport United sitting in third, but it's more Bidvest Wits who probably might swap places with Supersport United come the end of the season. Only time will tell. But yeah, are you ready to call it? Are you ready to call who's going to win the league next season?
Oh, no. I told you,
You think twists and turns are plenty?
my experience in PSL, after Christmas, it is not the same teams that you see. By the way, at Super Sports, this was 1997. They used to charge us 5,000 per kilogram gain.
So can't have too much turkey.
So my salary then used to be 25,000 rand.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put extra kilogram because
That's a big chunk. That's a fifth of your salary gone.
Ask me again at the end of January, because there's
the
a
end
lot
of
of
January.
games in January. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's good. We
We'll
look forward
speak
to
in-
those, and we look forward to having you gents back to reflect on that in the new year. But that's it for us as far as 2019 is concerned. We're going to wrap things up with this show, the last of the Monday shows before the season resumes in the second half for the first part of next year. Thank you very much, John T.
Thank you.
Mr. Bongo, thank you to you, and thank you to everybody who's been tuned in throughout the year to the Front Runner Sports Podcast. We hope to be back in the new year bigger and better, and so I would also like to extend a very festive season to all of you who are tuned in, and all the best in a prosperous 2020 to come. For myself and the team that's behind the scenes and the two gentlemen here, till we meet again, have a good festive period. We'll catch you in 2020. Good night.